Hey up guys, welcome to the only place where you're going to get wrestling content from a blind person's point of view. This is Wrestling in the Dark, and it's time for the NXT versus AEW Super Review. This week both shows are going in opposite directions as AEW suffers the fallout from Full Gear and NXT continues the build towards Survivor Series weekend. But which show was better? Chill out, have fun, and we'll take a look at this week's wrestling. As always, to show no bias, I thought I'd let the coin flip decide this. AEW is tails, as is now tradition.
Tails.
We're starting with AEW for the first time. Actually, I'm going to let you in on a secret. This is the second time around that I've had to record this, and I thought I'd just do the coin flip again. And I was supposed to start with NXT, but with the coin, I'm now going to go with AEW. So, insider information. Well, AEW kicked off with a segment that I absolutely loved. I'm becoming even more of a mark for Jon Moxley than I used to be when he was going under his former name. I know that that's not going to be a hot take for many people because they're going to be like, yeah, obviously, because he's better now. But I am really enjoying this character. I think it's awesome that he's playing this sort of unhinged character that I think he was sort of trying to be normal for a while and trying to just sort of shake his reputation, and then they sort of betrayed his trust by doing the lights out match, and now he's just going absolutely mental. It starts off with one of the indie correspondent Glenn Harding's least favourite things, probably. It's a squash match. I think it was one of the things that he was hoping that they weren't going to bring over from WWE that they sort of have. It makes me laugh every time because I'm like, Glenn's going to hate that. Same as he is when, I know when you watch this and there's bad commentary, you're like, yeah, Mason's going to hate this. When there's a squash match, I'm like, Glenn's gonna hate this one. Yeah, it's a squash match between Moxley and Nakazawa. It's sort of a non-match. Moxley goes after Nakazawa sort of throws away the baby oil, tries to be all business. He struggles for a little bit, but in the end he ends up getting hit with the paradigm shift, which Excalibur is keen to tell us he stuck really, really bad, just saying that it was basically the back of Naka's head that came down on the canvas. So that was made it sound really brutal, and I really liked that. And then he jumped on the mic. I actually really, really loved this promo. It just seems so angry and it's like he's been cut loose by this whole lights out experience, and it's great. I love that at the beginning we get this thing with Kenny where he's getting checked over by the trainer. He asks him how Moxley is, and the trainer sort of, I think he's kind of hesitantly really was like, yeah, he's beat up, but he's cleared. And I thought that was really cool, the fact that Kenny's not cleared, Mox is, and then he comes and just makes this statement. But anyway, yeah, the actual promo itself was just really great. It was like, say what you want about me. You can call me all sorts of things, but the one thing you can't call me is a liar. As advertised, as delivered, Kenny Omega will never be the same again. He calls Kenny a radical son of a bitch and says, putting the personal differences aside, he does respect him because he had the balls to do what no one else is ever going to have the balls to do again and step in the ring with him. He says no one in AEW is ever going to want to step in the ring with him again, and if they do want to confront the mortality, and they better warn the families and not ask for apologies. He says that he's there to scorch the earth of AEW till he's the last man standing. Just how awesome is that? It was so well delivered. He seems so passionate about it. He's just completely cut loose by this whole lights out experience where it was just he was sort of starting to trust them. He's basically got Gollum'd in Lord of the Rings when all that stuff happens and Gollum's like, oh, you betrayed me. It's just the same sort of thing. I don't think that should be I don't think I should be likening Moxley to Gollum. I feel like it's going to come through. Paradigm shift me on the floor. Yeah, it was such a great promo, and it just sets it up to God, who's gonna step to him now after what he put Kenny through, and he's here now and it's just more or less fine. It's just who's gonna step to him now, and it really started off the show in sort of an intense way that I really enjoyed. NXT kicks off with something that makes me a happy man. I love seeing the cruiserweight roster just incorporated properly into NXT. It's really cool to have it be the NXT Cruiserweight Championship. I love that we're getting title matches on NXT television. It's really cool. We get a match that starts a show that I assumed would probably kick off TakeOver, to be honest. It's Angel Garza versus Lio Rush, obviously, for the title. And yeah, I actually thought it was a really, really good opening to the show. Before we get to the actual, the minutiae of the match, at the beginning, commentary are talking about Angel Garza playing mind games. It doesn't really matter what he's doing. They're just talking about him playing mind games, and Beth's like, oh, it reminds me of Eddie Guerrero, and it's just something that I feel like is getting bandied around a lot these days, what with, so many of the current stars saying that he's an influence and trying to, emulate him and paying homage to him, like Sasha Banks. I know that, Seth has said stuff about him, does the frog splash, and stuff like that. People are saying it about Sammy Guevara over on Dynamite, and now it's being levelled at Angel Garza, and it's like, it just makes me wonder, as someone that never really got to experience Eddie, how many of these people are even close to his level, or even close to, his sort of character, or whether it's just, something that they're just bandying about a little bit too much now, just to try and sort of endear them to people. But yeah, let's get down to the actual minutiae of the match. So Garza does his pants ripping thing in front of Leo's family, just rips his trousers off in front of him. This obviously pisses Leo off. Good time. So he gets a DDT that gets a 2 count. He gets a tope and a kick to the chest and a wrecking ball drop kick. He goes for another tope, but Garza manages to counter it into a power slam. We get a handspring back elbow by Lio Rush, and then Garza's looking for the wing clipper, but Rush manages to counter that with 2 big kicks. We get a swinging neck breaker for a cover by Garza, and then Lio Rush goes up to the top rope and gets his eggs scrambled, which seems to be one of Morrow's favourite things recently. I don't know whether people are just getting crotched more or what, but I've noticed it a lot, where he's just like, oh, getting his eggs scrambled, and someone's going to comment now and be like, they're not getting crotched, it's just like when someone kicks them in the head or something, it's like, it's going to not be, I'm going to be completely wrong, but anyway, he seems to say it quite a lot these days. Garza hits a moonsault power slam, which gets a holy shit chant from the crowd, and from me, because I was like, you know what, I was just thinking the other day, like, literally, I think, like, a couple of days ago, either way, I was trying to think of the exact day, but who cares. Yeah, I was literally thinking it'd be really cool if someone did that move, and and then Garza actually does it, and I was like, oh, awesome. And then Angel gets ground and pound until Leo gets back up, hits a Spanish fly and a spinning heel kick. He gets the come up, and Morrow tells us that he hangs on and keeps the cravat in, and he's trying to go for another one, but Garza counters into the wing clipper for a near fall that gets an NXT chant, and I was like, lovely commentary, keeping me apprised of that. Nice little sequence. These two are putting on a great show so far. We get a please don't die chant as they fight on the top rope, headbutting each other until Lio Rush finally gets the upper hand, and he gets a sunset flip or a Rana. I'm not sure which one. It sort of sounded like Morrow said both. I guess you could probably get a sunset flip Rana. If that's what it was, that actually sounds pretty cool. I hadn't considered until now that it could be that. Then basically it gets to the point where Leo gets 2 final hours. The first one gets a near fall, the second one gets him the win. But on the replay, Nigel says that Garza's leg should have caused a rope break, but the nameless referee didn't see it. That's definitely one thing that I do actually like over AEW. Over at AEW. I do prefer the fact that I'm sort of getting to know already who the referees are, when it's Aubrey Edwards, there's going to be something sort of serious going on. I know who Rick Knox is now, that sort of thing. So yeah, it'd have been quite cool if there was a referee, if this referee had a name. I'm sure they do have a name, but they don't tell us the name. So yeah, Leo retains the title. Really good match. Definitely a strong 4+, maybe a 5- match. It was really good with the commentary too. There was a couple of points where I was like, thanks, Marin. I really, really appreciated that. And a couple of really cool spots as well. Spot of the match definitely has to go to Garza though for that moonsault power slam. It's just a really cool move that I've always wanted to see someone do. I just wish that I could have actually seen him do it rather than just have to imagine it, because I have no idea what he looks like. Either way, it is really hard to decide which one wins this first round, because I loved that Moxley stuff. I really, really did. That was some great character stuff. But it was a squash match. But the promo was great. But it was a squash match. And this was a cruiserweight title match. Kicks off the show with a really great match. Keeps the cruiserweight. Yep, I'm gonna go with NXT. I almost don't want to because of how much I liked the Moxley stuff, but I just feel like in terms of how this kicks off the show with a really good in-ring action, both ways I think are going to grab the audience attention. Whichever show they tuned into, I'm sure that this was an effective way of I'll carry on watching this, but I'm just going to go with the cruiserweights. So NXT wins round 1. Round 2, AEW's second sort of segment was the Dark Order versus the Jurassic Express, Marco Stunt and Jungle Boy. This was actually pretty cool. First time that I've seen a little bit of something that I actually quite liked from Dark Order. I actually quite enjoyed the Jurassic Express act, so I was pretty pleased with this one. And yeah, let's not linger on it too much, but let's just talk about the fact that they mention Marco Stunt's size as is unavoidable, let's be honest. Tony says that how do you even train for someone like that? It's going to be harder to train for someone of Marco's size. Excalibur's like, where do you even find someone equivalent to him? And JL says, a 6th grade class. That really puts him over. Excalibur called the opening sequence really, really well. It was fast-paced action that I couldn't write down, but it was enjoyable. There was frequent tags, and there was some pretty cool stuff that was going on that got me into the match. Jungle Boy gets a cannonball sent on for a 2 count. Evil Uno tries to low bridge Marco's stunt, but doesn't manage to get it done. But he does get a sent on Atomico for a near fall, and then we get another sent on, and can Marco survive? Grayson gets a delayed vertical suplex on Marco, but only gets a 1 count from it. He hits a gut wrench suplex and then tags to Evil Uno. We get... oh man, it's gone completely blank. Marco sneaks through the legs of one of the Dark Order. He goes for the tag, tries to mount a comeback, but gets hit with a cheap shot, and the Dark Order get a near fall or a cover. And then we get sort of one of them just tosses him across the ring and gets a cover. They go for a pop-up power bomb, but Marco manages to counter that into a flatliner. Marco manages to get the hot tag. Jungle Boy hits a suicide dive to Grayson. He gets a running kick and a backflipping knee drop. Jurassic Express try to go for a double Irish whip on Evil Uno, but he manages to counter that. Marco hits a step-up enziguri using Jungle Boy as his step-up. Marco manages to hit a Dragon Rana and goes for the cover, but doesn't get it. Jurassic Express go for double suicide dives, but Dark Order manages to block it. They hit a big backbreaker and then the fatality, and they get the win. We get a cool little promo from Dark Order after the match, though, as Evil Uno offers Marco Stunt a place in the Dark Order. He says, a man of such small stature that he gets ridiculed every day, and yet he shows such heart. Obviously, Marco refuses. The creepers swarm them. They try to put a mask on Marco Stunt anyway, but Luchasaurus returns, which I was really, really happy about. He is the most fun one, in my opinion, just because I like big guys that are also agile, which is why I like Dijakovic and Keith Lee over in NXT. So I think that he really ties it together as well with the young boy, his friend, and his dinosaur. I just think that ties it all together as like a nice little package. So it was nice to see him back. He comes in, dismantles the creepers, he headbutts someone in midair, he does the tail whip thing that knocks over multiple creepers, he hits a choke slam, and he hits a standing moonsault, and I was just like, welcome back, Luchasaurus. That was actually a really decent little segment. It might not have been the best, most interesting match, in all fairness, but it drives forward the story, brings back Luchasaurus, shows a bit of character from the Dark Order, and I think that it was actually a really, really solid segment. I would give, the match would probably get a 4 out of 6. And then the bit afterwards probably boosts it to a 5. I liked it. Over on NXT, we got the first little bit, the first instalment into the women's storyline, and I really liked this next bit. We find out that Tegan Nox has been attacked, and one other person that I will go and check my notes about in a minute. But either way, they've been attacked. Who's done it? That's interesting. There's lots of people that could have done it. Team Baszler could have done it. Team SmackDown or Raw. That's a really, really cool thing. It's so open, like who is attacking these women. And then we get a Shayna Baszler video package where it shows you talking shit to Becky. And then that leads into Xia Li versus Aaliyah. As Xia Li's coming down, Morrow describes her as having more kicks than a baby in its mother's stomach. I was like, okay, that was random, Morrow, even for you. We get an Aaliyah sucks chant from the NXT audience. Aaliyah gets a handful of hair and then throws Xia Li to the ground. Xia Li picks up Aaliyah, and that's an actual quote. Picks up, Xia Li picks up. I was like, what does that even mean? We get Xia Li stomping on the fingers of Vanessa Bourne for trying to get involved, and then Aaliyah snaps Xia Li's head off the top rope, and she hits a bridging Northern Lights suplex for a cover. I've got to admit, I do like this little sequence that ends it, though. Xia Li gets a kick right under the jaw, she hits a cartwheel forearm smash, and then a double... This is hard, man. She hits a double springboard, double axe handle. It's actually hard to write down. I was like, did I get that right? And then she just kicks her right in the face to get the win. I've seen a couple of matches now with Xia Li in, and, from what commentary have let us see of her, it's, she seems fairly impressive. I think when they actually let her have a proper match, she's probably going to have a decent match, especially if they can put her against someone like Dakota Kai, who, has those kicks that they can really play up, and it can just be a bit of a strike fest sort of match. I think it's safe to say, even with Tegan Nox and Rhea Ripley being attacked, yes, I did go back and check my notes, even with them being attacked and this sort of nice little sequence, it really doesn't match up to the Jurassic Express match, so AEW wins round 2. To start off round 3, Dynamite has a 3-way match, which is Sean Spears versus Peter Avalon versus Darby Allin, which I was happy to see him on the show again. I always have been sort of fairly intrigued by his gimmick ever since they introduced him on the Road 2 series with that awesome promo about why he wears his face paint and explaining himself. He's just really, really intriguing and enigmatic. It was really great to see him back on Dynamite, and it was also really nice to see that he just gets a really big pop. He gets a proper hero's welcome. The AEW fans love him, and I don't really blame them. So yeah, let's get to the minutiae of the match. We get an arm drag from Darby in the early moments, and the crowd is really, really hot for him. Then Peter Avalon gets a waist lock, but Darby counters that, sends him out to the apron and hits a drop kick. He goes up top, but Spears makes him crash and burn, and Spears gets a 2 count. Commentary talks about the fact that they've booked a date in Corpus Christi, which should be fairly interesting. Notoriously bad town when WWE goes there. It'll be pretty interesting to see if the AEW crowd is hot or whether it's just dead for them as well. And if it is, I guess we know that it's just a bad wrestling town. But yeah, Corpus Christi, here we come. Then it all sort of breaks apart, really. Janela comes down, starts battering spears. They fight off into off screen or whatever. And then Darby comes over the top of Avalon. He hits a cutter and then gets a coffin drop for the win. And afterwards he gets on the mic and he says, "John Moxley, I accept." And I'm like, don't do it, Darby. What are you doing? I'm like, he put down Kenny. Look at Kenny's not even cleared, and like as much as, oh man, it's like, kayfabe wise, this is it's not a creative complaint at all, because I think Moxley versus Darby is going to be really, really good. I'm really excited for it. But kayfabe wise, it's just like, oh, Darby, don't do it. It's like sort of like saying that you're as good as Kenny, and I don't know whether you are as good as Kenny in kayfabe, and I just think that you're going to get your ass handed to you and then you're going to lose, and it's just sort of pointless. But it's going to make an absolute star out of him. And, if they actually put him over Moxley, which I don't think they will do and I don't think they should do, if they did, man, the shooting right up the rankings, give him like a good notch in his belt for the win-loss record. It feels like it should sort of be weighted. I don't know if, like, they've brought in these local enhancement talents. I don't know whether a win over them should be as worth as much as a win over someone like Moxley. But yeah, Darby winning the match gets himself a win, in the column, and then accepting this little challenge, this open challenge from Moxley. I was really, really worried about him in kayfabe. Hopefully someone throws in the towel for him or something. God, what's Moxley going to do to him? Short and sweet, really, but at the same time, still really enjoyable and drives forward Darby's character and his story. Over on NXT, it's Balor time. He's out and cutting a promo, and it's another really, really good one that was highly enjoyable. It's just, let me check my notes. He's like, this is it. This is NXT now. What happened to this place, this business that I loved? That was the hype. That was the heart of NXT. Johnny Gargano, someone who's still sore from something that happened 3 weeks ago. He says that he built this place, and when he left, a load of little boys moved in and started crying on social media, and he's like, don't even get me started on Matt Riddle. And of course, that brings out the bro himself. So Riddle comes out, he attacks Balor, the crowd does the Riddleberg chant, the Riddle, and then he's attacking Balor. Balor runs away. Riddle's like, keep running, you can't run forever, you putz, whatever putz means. I should have asked Google, but I didn't. If someone wants to tell me in the comment section what a putz is, feel free. And then Undisputed Era arrive. Cole's like, wrong place, wrong time. They attack Matt Riddle, but he gets saved by Ciampa and Keith Lee. It all sort of breaks down into a bit of a brawl for a minute, and then Keith Lee is like, okay, you stood up to Bryan, you beat Bryan, you didn't back down from Rollins, are you going to stand up to me? Strong stands up for Cole, and he's like, do you realise how great he is and how much he's been doing? He deserves a night off. If you want to fight someone, you're going to have to fight me. And then Lee pounces Roderick Strong into the ring, and we do get Strong versus Keith Lee. This match was enjoyable as expected. It's a Roderick Strong match. I really like Roderick Strong. I've been getting more and more into Keith Lee's matches. I might not be... I don't know whether I'm a total fan of his mic work yet, or maybe his gimmick. I don't know what it is, but I do think that I enjoy his matches more than I enjoy his character. Anyway, Team Ciampa and Undisputed get sent to the back. Keith Lee gets to work trying to drive the air out of Strong. He's hitting body shots on him, and commentary puts over the fact that he's a southpaw. Strong hits a knee strike, leaps at him, and Keith Lee catches him and hits a, quote, thunderous power slam. Strong tries to fight back, he hits knife-edge chops. He goes to work on the legs, and once he's worked Keith Lee down to his knees, he hits a shoulder block, which Morrow's like, I don't think I've ever seen a shoulder block to a kneeling opponent before. Strong hits a bunch of chops, but Keith Lee fires back with one double palm strike, and that sends Roddy reeling, and we get a commercial break. When we get back from commercial, Roddy's mounting a comeback. He hits a drop kick. Why did I say it like that? A drop kick. He hits a... Roddy's hitting a... I was completely... I've lost it. Man, we get back from commercial, Roddy's mounting a comeback and hits a drop kick that sends Keith Lee out of the ring. Keith starts hitting more southpaw strikes and he gets a military press and sends Roddy into the ring. But when Keith Lee's getting back in, Roddy gets... I've completely lost myself now. He gets military pressed into the ring. When Keith Lee's getting in, Roddy hits a pair of wrecking ball drop kicks. And you know what? I really love that that's a part of his offense. It's something that I don't think I'd noticed in people's offense until I'd seen Roddy doing it. And now I've sort of noticed them everywhere because I'd sort of... Once I heard about Roddy doing it, I was like, okay, that sounds like a pretty cool move. And now I notice it when other people do it. They fight on the outside. Lee sends Roddy back first into the barricade. A taste of your own medicine there, Roddy. You definitely deserve that. Roddy fires back up, hits a forearm smash to the face, and a, quote, sick kick for the near fall. He starts working on Keith Lee. He gets a rear chin lock and a fish hook. Shortly after, hits a chop block. And then Keith Lee starts firing back with chops until he hits a big avalanche splash and a Beal and a belly-to-belly suplex for a cover. Roddy fires back big time. He's in elbows and knees. He goes for a leaping knee strike, but Lee manages to get a modified backbreaker. Then they're fighting on the top rope. Roddy's going for the superplex. Keith Lee's fighting back. Roddy hits a step-up knee strike that rattles Keith Lee enough for them to get a superplex. Roddy superplexing Keith Lee. What a spot. Striking offense to get him there. Love the commentary at this point. Morrow's just really into it, calling these spots. I felt like I was watching the match. Like, these sort of matches, when the commentary's like this, and it's such simple offense, like, just elbow strikes, knee strikes, leaping knee strike, superplex, and it's also simple but cool, and I know exactly what's going on, and it's really easy, to picture what's going on, and I really thought that was a really cool sequence. Keith Lee gets that Grizzly Magnum boot, but Roddy answers with a step-up enziguri. That sends Keith Lee back into the ropes. Roddy hits forearms, but Keith Lee manages to get a huge clothesline. That's when Undisputed Era and Team Ciampa come back out, and Cole hits a super kick on Ciampa. We get another Riddleberg chant. Bobby Fish gets taken out by Riddleberg himself, but then Finn attacks Matt and gets a knee strike and a basement drop kick. Then that's when Roddy gets a knee strike and a slam to Keith Lee for the near fall, but Keith Lee ends up hitting the jackhammer Goldberg everywhere, and that gets the win. Really liked this. I love that they just all go into war. There's all these battle lines being drawn. There's things crisscrossing everywhere. This actually has changed the takeover card. We're now getting Finn Balor versus Matt Riddle. And that was really interesting to me, because it was just like, wow, it's just changed on the fly, and I thought that was really cool. Post-match, Cole is putting the boots to Ciampa, and Dominik Dijakovic comes out and makes the save. He comes, hits a double choke slam and a feast your eyes, which the crowd chants. And I just thought, wow, that was really cool. They added Dijakovic to the War Games team, which made us all think that it was complete, but later on in the night we get that change where they announce Riddle versus Finn Balor, which means that it's now Keith Lee, Dijakovic and Matt Riddle. stable, anyone? I'd be okay with that. I want Dijakovic and Keith Lee as a tag team anyway. We've got the connection with Matt Riddle and Keith Lee now anyway. So just keep all three of them together. That's a really cool team, and I'm actually really intrigued and excited to see who goes over here. It's just going to be really interesting, and to see who fills out the fourth member of the team. I think that I've got to give it to NXT this round. I really liked the Derby stuff. That match was fairly short, but it served the purpose. I'm really excited for Derby versus Moxley, but next week that segment might beat what NXT does. But for what we got with this whole War Games situation and all the battle lines being drawn and this Roderick Strong Keith Lee match and Dijakovic getting added to the War Games team, I definitely think that this is driving forward the main story of NXT, and it was really, really good. This could have easily been a main event segment, but we got what we got in the main event for that. So NXT is now 2-1. So it's time for round 4, and the Dynamite offering should manage to make both Sky and Glenn unhappy, because it's a women's squash match, and it's not really much to shout about, to be honest. Nyla Rose versus Danny Jordan. It's sort of nice to see Nyla Rose again, but not really, because they haven't done anything with her. She's got no character, and it's just sort of a rebuilding process. It's a squash match against a jobber. Danny Jordan tries to hit some strikes. Nyla levels her. Nyla sends her into the corner, hits a shot to the midsection, and in the end she gets the beast bomb for the win. I did actually appreciate the one sort of good thing that I have to say about this is that Tony did tell us that the Beast Bomb is a set-up power bomb, which I was like sort of happy about. I was like, okay, thanks for that, Tony. That was actually really useful. I didn't know that. I think I probably knew it, but not not like solidly. And now I think I'll actually remember it. So I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm not sure what I think about these squash matches either, especially not being given to the women. It's just annoying. There's nothing going on in the women's division, and you're just giving us like squash matches. And of course, because they have to have all the women's segments at once, we get an Ali promo next with Tony Schiavone, and I'm sort of just going to put it in here because it's so short that it's just not even worth anything. She comes out, Tony asks her, how she is or whatever, and she talks about the fact that she came to AEW to prove what she can do, and she's done that on Dog, and now it's time to do it on Dynamite. And then she gets interrupted by Brandy and Awesome Kong, and they come down, they attack her, and then she adds Ali's hair to her, hair collection that she's now getting. Weird. Kind of cool. I do like it. It's a little bit of a character thing that they've managed to squeeze in because they don't want to give any of the women mic time. But no, it's a pretty cool thing, taking trophies from the victims. But yeah, not a strong offering in this section of the show. Just that short squash match with Nyla Rose that really doesn't do anything for her other than get a win in the column. Other than that, that Ali promo was just sort of like, okay, driving forward the story between them. I sort of even forgot that was a feud, and they're finally going to pay off from that from months and months ago. And you watch. People are going to be like, that was great storytelling, because they were, they set it up months ago and they're finally paying off on it, as opposed to like, oh yeah, we were doing that, weren't we? Over on NXT, we get another little backstage thing that shows us that Duke and Shafir, as well as Candice, I think, have been attacked as well. Ooh, attacking both sides. That is interesting. So that's when it starts being like, okay, is it someone from NXT or is it main roster? Because this could still be, someone that we haven't even heard of. Like, I thought at the time, I was like, wouldn't it be cool if it was like Chelsea Green and Diana Perazzo coming in and just like sort of like making an entrance, like, okay, I'm just going to level all of these people that are like, oh, we're all swept up in war games, are you? Well, look at us. But yeah, it was swirling through my head, like, who could it be? So I really like that, just a little bit of misdirection. I thought it was really cool. That leads into Isaiah Swerve Scott versus Bronson Reed, who I was happy to see again. It's so weird. I always feel like when I say see, it's just that, like, a habit that I could see for 23 years of my life, and it's like, okay, I can't really get out of that. It seems so awkward to be like, oh, it's nice to hear Bronson Reed again, because I didn't, and it's not like he cut a promo. So yeah, nice to see Bronson Reed on NXT again, and especially against Swerve, because it's, just interesting, that speed versus power factor, which the NXT do so well. Bronson goes for the arm, and Swerve manages to counter transitions into the waist lock. Bronson knocks him down, but he nips back up. Bronson hits a drop kick, and Morris says something about bulldozer. I wasn't sure whether bulldozer is one of Bronson Reed's moves, or whether he was describing the drop kick as a bulldozer, or whether he was calling Bronson Reed a bulldozer. But either way, someone should let me know if it's a move. But yeah, he hits the drop kick. He gets a headbutt on Swerve. Swerve chops him in the chest. He starts manhandling Swerve, puts all of his weight on his back, and he hits a banzai drop, which was really cool. I do like that they just making him this big guy that, like, flattens people with his big splash, and now the banzai drop. I think that's a really cool thing to give him. I actually quite like that move, and it's not something that I see done very often. I can't really tell you the last match I saw that had a banzai drop in it, so I thought that was pretty cool. He dumped Swerve out of the ring. They fight out there, but eventually Bronson gets posted. Swerve comes off the middle rope for a forearm strike, gets a flatliner. He tries to clothesline Bronson Reed, but it doesn't affect him, and Reed hits a clothesline of his own and a senton. They fight up to the top rope, and Swerve's looking for a top rope Hurricane Rana, but Bronson Reed ends up hitting body shots. They get down, and eventually, I was going to say Roddy then, Swerve manages to hit a DDT for a cover. We get a running back elbow from Swerve, but Reed manages to fire back, gets a sit-out spine buster and a driver that I missed the name of for the cover. Swerve manages to snap Bronson's Reed arm off the rope. Bronson goes for a powerbomb, but Swerve avoids it. Bronson hits a back kick, but in the end, Swerve hits a house call and gets the win. Not sure. Can someone please tell me why it's a house call? Is he a doctor? I know that we get the "Whose house? Swerve's house" chant, but I just don't get it. Why is his finisher called the house call? Is there some backstage vignette that I've missed where he's a doctor? But I really enjoyed this match. I really like the speed and the striking of Swerve. It really makes him seem like he's unpredictable, and he just keeps coming back. And Bronson Reed is a big, hard bastard, and he's gone toe-to-toe with Shane Thorne in those hard-hitting matches. He's hitting big moves in this, like South Spine Busters and the driver and the banzai drop, and it's just not even affecting Swerve at all. Obviously, it probably is, but one of the things that I actually don't get from a match is selling. It's just one of the things that they can't really talk about from the commentary, in terms of, obviously they can be like, oh, it looks like he's in pain, etc, or he's clutching at his leg, but in terms of, like, someone's actual physical selling, I do miss getting that, because sometimes I do fail to sort of, like, work it into my imagination of the match. But yeah, I really liked, I was sort of disappointed that Bronson didn't win, because I'm becoming quite a mark for him, but then at the same time, it gets Swerve a win. It carries on his momentum. I'm sure we're going to get some sort of NXT North American Championship match with him at some point or something like that. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if he joins the War Games team. Seems like it'd be a decent thing. He faced Dijakovic last week, and that might be a good call, Swerve joining the War Games team. I don't think it's a surprise, but NXT gets this one as well and goes 3-1. Honestly, it's a real shock because I really enjoyed Dynamite this week when I was watching it. Usually I sometimes get a bit bitter about the commentary, and I haven't always agreed with all the creative stuff that they do, but I really enjoyed it this week. I enjoyed the matches, I enjoyed the creative direction, I enjoyed all the fallout from Full Gear, and it's just really surprising me that NXT is winning by this much of a gap. I wonder whether AEW are going to be able to pull it back. And that sounds like I'm being like, I wonder whether they'll be able to pull it back. Stay tuned. But I genuinely, I'm not sure with these next few segments who's going to win. I can't wait to sort of just get through to it. So let's do it. Round 5, so over on Dynamite, it's time for Le Champion. This was actually a really good segment, if I do have sort of one complaint about it, but it was really, really entertaining nonetheless. Jericho comes out, is like, much to the chagrin of everyone, I am still Le Champion. I've beaten everyone that AEW has put in front of me. I've proved that I am exactly what I say I am, the greatest of all time. He says that I told you I was going to prove that Cody isn't as good as you and he thinks that he is. He's just an entitled millennial son of a bitch. Cody's music hits and I'm expecting the big dog to come running out and attack him, but it's MJF instead. Gets a decent boo out of that, let me tell you. The crowd loves the big dog, and they were not happy that MJF pulled this. He got a very, very decent boo. I was like, yeah, well done. Excalibur's like, MJF. And Tony makes me laugh because he's like, to be honest, I think we should just remove the J from his name. Like, he's called him a prick, and now he's called him, like, he hasn't said it, but he's called him a motherfucker now, which is just great. It just proves that Tony has a potty mouth. When he's talking to people in normal conversation, he must just throw it out there. Really, really funny. I thought that was great. MJF's promo is awesome. He just really, really lets rip. He's just like, oh, you're upset that I threw in the towel? Don't you understand that if I hadn't done that, your favourite little wrestler's career would have been over? He talks about the fact that Cody's just basically full of shit. He says that he found a bright, bushy-eyed youngster, put out his hand and said, hey kid, I want to be your mentor. Crowd chants bullshit at him. They chant asshole at him at one point. He says that only one person knows the real Cody. He doesn't give a shit about any of you. He just wanted to keep me under his thumb, but your thumb isn't big enough, Blondie. And then he moves on to Jericho, and he's like, don't get me wrong, you're great. If I was making a Mount Rushmore of wrestlers, you'd be in like the 4th or 5th installment. I heard you want me in the inner circle. It's great because Jericho sort of bigs up MJF and draws likenesses between them, and he's like, in fact, it's almost like your parents got horny while they were watching me, and 9 months later you popped out and asked him if he wants to be in the inner circle. They do this thing where they go back and forth, like, you're the biggest jackass in the company. No, you are. I know the biggest jackass. And they're going back and forth, and I'm like, this is starting to feel familiar. And they're like, I know who's to blame. Roman Reigns. No, wait, no, sorry. They didn't say that, did they? They said, what did they? Oh, they said Cody Rhodes, because even AEW thinks that Cody is the big dog. That is a rip-off, just a straight-up rip-off. I know people are going to say that it was a homage, or a rib, or something, but that was just a straight-up rip-off of the Kevin Owens Jericho spot, where they did the exact same thing, argued, made it look like they were, going to argue more, and then blamed Roman Reigns, and it was the exact same thing. Don't get me wrong. Do not get me wrong. Seriously, this was a really enjoyable segment. The MJF promo was really entertaining, made him look like a star. The Jericho thing, going toe-to-toe on the mic with Jericho himself, Jericho making fun of him, MJF getting to make fun of Chris Jericho, going backwards and forwards, I just thought it was awesome, but that is a pure rip-off. Cody comes out, he tries to fight, but Wardlow, who I was like, who? What? I think they said that they've had, like, vignettes, but it must have just been one of those things that I've missed, because it's just been pure music or something. But, yeah, Wardlow, he comes out and he chokes out Cody with a tie. And I just thought that this was a really decent segment. It looks like MJF will be joining the Inner Circle, along with his new little henchman, lackey sort of person. So we're getting more members to the Inner Circle. And it's like, wow, what are they going to do eventually? It's going to be interesting. I definitely feel like we're going to get, around sort of Royal Rumble time, we're going to get some sort of big, not a rumble, because I don't think they want to do that, but we'll get some sort of big massive match, and it's going to be interesting to see how many members Inner Circle has, because they're already starting to pick up more and more people. But yeah, this is a really decent segment. Over on NXT, we get Kathy Kelly saying that she's got no answers to who attacked the women, as well as announcing that Riddleberg versus Finn Balor match. Then we get Pete Dunne versus Killian Dane, or we should, but Damian Priest comes out and he attacks Killian Dane in retaliation for what happened last week. He fights Dane, then he fights Dunne, he hits Splash Mountain that takes out multiple people, it's a step up tope, and we get this set up as a three-way match, which I'm sort of okay with. I can't say that I'm loads for Damian Priest yet, but I think that it would be kind of cool, because I think you could do with a big win, and getting a win over Pete Dunne and Killian Dane would be quite good. They could also do that quite easily, because they can have Pete and Killian Dane sort of spiral off into a one-on-one feud, and sort of get back on track with fighting each other. So yeah, I think Damian Priest could get a big win there. Unfortunately, it's not anywhere near as entertaining, and doesn't drive the story forward anywhere near as much as the MJF Jericho segment. So they actually do get another point, making it 3-2. A bit of bonus content. This can't really go up against anything, because the only thing left in NXT is the main event, and I don't feel right just, sort of putting the main event against something other than the main event. So I'm just going to sort of class this as a pointless sort of thing, or it doesn't earn them any points. But yeah, bonus content for AEW. It's Cowboy Adam versus the Bastard again in a rematch from Full Gear, what they call the rubber match, which I swear they called Full Gear. I swear they said at Full Gear that was the rubber match, but they said it on Dynamite, so there we go. Actually coming off a really good match at Full Gear. I really enjoyed their match, and actually enjoyed Cowboy Adam too, just because I'm just starting to enjoy his offense, I think. And in his match, he's getting to show it off quite a bit more. I really like his sort of old school classic offense. He's got the fallaway slams and the lariats and the sidewalk slams and all that sort of stuff. So I think it's really cool. He throws those forearms about. He's got some striking ability. The only problem is, I just wish that they'd say on AEW TV what the Deadeye is, because I don't know. I know obviously a buckshot lariat is self-explanatory, but I'm not particularly sure what the Deadeye is. But yeah, let's get through to the match. This match has got one of those starts that AEW is quite good for, in terms of just being instantly sort of fast-paced and intense. So Hangman comes out of the gate straight away. He wants to put Pac down, but he gets hit with a Komanguri. Pac goes up to the top rope and hits an Orihara moonsault, which is one of Paige's moves normally, which I thought was really cool. He tries for the Black Arrow, but Cowboy Adam avoids it and hits a suicide dive that sends Pac into the barricade. Once he gets back in, he hits a powerbomb for the cover. Pac gets hit with the high boot for the cover. Then Tony is talking about how jacked Pac is, talks about his quads, which is just really funny. It makes me laugh how much commentators, and especially the older guys, just really appreciate the bodies of the competitors. It's not really something that you hear, I don't know, I can't remember the last time I heard, I don't know, Michael Cole be like, oh, he's so jacked. Just made me laugh. Pac gets a pair of top rope drop kicks. He's thrusting through the ropes with pump kicks, but eventually Cowboy Adam dumps him on the apron and hits a top rope move. Pac escapes to the outside, but it's all a ruse because Cowboy Adam follows him out confidently and gets hit with the thrust kick that commentary puts over as, that was bad enough that it might have knocked out teeth. Then Pac gets a chin lock in and Tony talks about how great Pac is at the basics. Cowboy Adam throws chops to create separation and ends up hitting a huge lariat, and commentary talk about how red his face is and they compare him to Stan Hansen with that lariat. Then we get a strike exchange, boo, yay spot until Adam goes for the buckshot lariat but doesn't get it, and Pat gets a discus forearm and a German suplex. Adam hits another lariat. He goes for the brain buster and they talk about the spot from the Full Gear match, but Pac floats over and hits a step-up enziguri into what JR calls a unique cover. I wish that he could have explained why it was unique, but, we can't all be winners in this situation. Then Adam gets an actual brain buster and a buckshot lariat for the near fall. He gives Pac too much slack though, and then he gets pump kicked. Pac starts stomping his head, and then we get Black Arrow into the brutalizer, and Pac picks up the win, and possibly the win to the feud if they don't carry on, but I do think that they probably will carry on. They seem to hate each other way too much. Pac getting another win in the column, that's got to shoot him a little bit further up the rankings, gets a little bit more momentum again, and I really, really enjoyed this match. I thought that it was just solid. There's no complaints about it. It was a 5 out of 6 match with 5-10 more minutes. It probably could have been an absolutely stonking 6 out of 6 match, but as it was, I've been starting to enjoy Cowboy Adam. I really like Pac. I'm really glad that he won this match, and I thought that there were some pretty cool spots. Something that AEW seems to like, brawls. We get another one of them next. It's the Bucks and Private Party. The Bucks and Proud and Powerful have a good long brawl. We get them brawling backstage. Ortiz dives off a forklift. They brawl for a long time into catering and beyond and to ringside. Matt gets thrown over the barricade, and Excalibur talks about the fact that it was a really brutal fall. Security try to break them up, but it's not working. The Bucks are knocking out security. Proud and Powerful are going after Nick's leg with the blackjack baseball filled sock thing that they've got, and they're brawling until Brandon Cutler comes out. Proud and Powerful I'm skipping a little bit ahead of myself. We get a sort of repeat of the Rock and Roll Express spot with the Proud and Powerful marking the target and then power bombing Matt, I think it was, through, I assumed, a table, but I have heard from other reviews that it was the stage. That's pretty cool. There's one point where Proud and Powerful are like, one of them screams, "Now he's gonna die!" And they seem so vicious and nasty and just really sort of creative with it too, and just sort of kind of unhinged, but in a different way to what Moxley is. Moxley's is like an uncontrolled rage, whereas they seem like Proud and Powerful seem like the kind of guys that would go out on purge night. That's what I get from them. It's just like, the baseball filled sock just makes them feel like that sort of thing. Anyway, Brandon Cutler comes out. Proud and Powerful pretend to walk away. They attack Brandon Cutler, and then Private Party come out and make the save. I think we're probably getting, I think they said it, but I don't want to say they said it for definite because I don't want to be completely wrong, but I think they said that we're getting Private Party versus Proud and Powerful now, which is going to be really hard because I write down PP in my notes for both of those teams. Gonna have to write P and P for Proud and Powerful. Yeah, I really enjoyed that Pac match, and then this brawl was really cool as well. And now it's time for the main event round. It's round 6. It's SCU versus Jericho and Guevara over on Dynamite. I'm really enjoying that Guevara and Jericho are teaming up so much. It's going to really, really help Guevara being in the ring with so many veterans, especially in this match, in terms of being in the ring with, Kazarian, Scorpio Sky. I don't know whether, Christopher Daniels got involved. I can't remember now before I'll go and look at my notes. But, being involved with all those veterans has got to be really good for Guevara. And I actually quite like them as a team. I think it's pretty cool. So that was really great. Then we get SCU coming out. They do their usual worst town ever shtick, and then Daniels introduces them all with their funny little nicknames. And I couldn't write them down, and I couldn't remember them now if I tried. But it has all the funny little nicknames about what they do and who they are, and it was actually a really entertaining little part. The match begins and Frankie Kazarian and Jericho lock up. Kazarian manages to back the champ into the corner. He gets a couple of quick arm drags and a drop kick. Jericho tags out to Sammy Guevara and Frankie manages to muscle Guevara back into SCU's corner, but gets hit with a knee lift that stops him in his tracks. Sammy tries to do a backflip over Kazarian, but Frankie catches him and he plants him with a German suplex. We get this really cool series of strikes by Frankie that Excalibur called really, really well. Jericho gets sent flying, Guevara gets back suplexed, and then Guevara tries for a really lazy cover that gets countered into a 2 count. Sammy manages to get on top for a little minute. He gets a reverse chin lock in, and JR says that this isn't his strength. Then Sammy hits a Spanish Fly, which is his strength. He's hit that quite a few times. Then he goes up to the top, goes for a shooting star press, but no one's home. Frankie Kazarian ducks the clothesline and tags out to Scorpio Sky, who hits a flying back elbow on Sammy. So Scorpio really gets time to shine for the rest of this match, and has done in most of these SCU matches. He's definitely the one that I'm the most interested in. Unfortunately for Daniels being gone for so long, it just... I guess it wasn't so long, but for this sort of pivotal sort of build towards the tag titles for SCU, I'm just definitely more invested in the Kazarian Scorpio Sky tag team. But this really gave Sky a chance to shine. So he gets a drop kick that sends Jericho flying. He gets a modified spine buster and rolls through into a net breaker. He gets a knee lift and dumps Sammy right on top of his head. Jericho gets locked in the guillotine. SCU try for the SCU later, but Jake Hager gets involved. Daniels goes after him and they fight. A Luthez press takes down Jericho, and then Scorpio gets a stomp to the back of the champ and hits a TKO for a really close call. He goes for a middle rope elbow, but nobody's home, and Jericho manages to counter a cutter with a code breaker, but not long after that, it's a roll up from Sky that picks up the win against Chris Jericho, which I was really shocked about. I wasn't expecting him to pick up a win there. I wasn't expecting Jericho to lose yet. Yeah, okay, it's in tag team competition, but yeah, I just thought it was really cool. Scorpio Sky is probably going to end up getting a shot against Jericho, which should be pretty cool, because Sky seems like it's because, see, Sky, you put me off there by telling me that you think of yourself whenever I talk about Scorpio Sky. You made me actually mess up. Yeah, he's probably going to get a shot against Jericho now, which will be really cool. And I thought that it was actually a really decent match. Like I say, I like seeing Guevara in this spotlight with Jericho. SCU seemed like a really cool team. I actually quite liked that Frankie Kazarian was sort of running wild in the first half of the match. Scorpio Sky running wild in the second. That's just really, really cool. And just a great way to cap off the show. Over on NXT, we get Io Shirai versus Mia Yim in the first ever NXT women's ladder match. Was really surprised that they hadn't done this yet. Really surprised that they did a women's cage match before they did a women's ladder match. But it's good that they haven't got all of them out of the way at once, because it means that we still get moments like this. This is a really cool thing for the main event, and it actually gave it a lot of weight as well, because it was to decide who gets the advantage inside War Games. Kathy Kelly talks to Mia Yim before the match, asks her how she can focus with all these attacks going on. Mia Yim says that she's not surprised, she's not scared, and Tommaso Ciampa was right. This is the main roster. Dakota Kai comes in and tells her that she's got no hard feelings, that Mia Yim got picked over, and if she needs any backup tonight, then she's got it. This match started out suitably fast. Io hits a tope in the early moments. Then it sort of all starts becoming a ladder match. Io gets dumped on the ladder. Mia Yim's going after Io with the ladder, but Io manages to get a springboard dropkick that sends the ladder into the face of Mia Yim. One of the things I really liked about this match was Mia Yim damaging Io Shirai's hand to try and neutralise the climbing ability. Beth being like, how are you supposed to climb a ladder if you can't hold on to anything? And I just thought that was really cool. I'm sure you can climb a ladder one-handed, but god damn would I not want to try. Io misses with a ladder shot, and she gets her back raked by Mia Yim. Nasty offense there from Mia. Pretty cool. I actually do like the fact that she's sort of a heel, but they're using her as a face. It's quite nice. I do like it. Then oh god. And then we get a clubbing forearm smash by Mia Yim. She goes for the front face lock. Io Shirai blocks, but Mia manages to suplex Io onto the ladder. They go to commercial, and when they get back, Io Shirai's letting loose with a striking sequence that ends with an uppercut. She gets the Tiger Feint 619 and a flapjack. Mia Yim gets a back body drop, but Io Shirai lands on her feet, so Yim suplexes her overhead belly-to-belly style onto the ladder. Onto the suplex. Mia's trying to climb the ladder. Io Shirai's making it difficult, so Yim hits a roundhouse kick. They fight a bit more. Shirai sends Mia Yim face first into the ladder. Io starts letting loose with ladder shots. She's hitting Mia in the back so much that it ends up damaging the ladder, and Io has to go and get a new one. She gets a kick to the chest of Mia Yim, but Mia starts fighting back and hits a protect your neck, and she tries to use the ladder against Io Shirai, but that's when we get the springboard drop kick spot that I said was earlier in the match. I just got confused because there was a note about the ladder being kicked into her face, but this is where we get the protect your neck spot, and then she's trying to use the ladder, and Io Shirai does the springboard drop kick, sends it into Yim's face, and that might have busted her nose open, I think commentary said. Io tries to set up the ladder, but her hand's giving her too much trouble. Mia's getting looked at on the outside, medical attention, and the commentary's really playing it up like this could be over, like this injury could take Mia Yim out of the match. Yim comes back in, and the crowd's chanting, Mia, Mia. She gets to the top of the ladder, and Io Shirai hits her with a German suplex from the top of the ladder, which somehow doesn't get a holy shit chant. I don't know how the Full Sail crowd didn't chant holy shit to that, because at home I was like, oh my god, that's awesome, a German suplex off the top of a ladder. I think that is absolutely awesome. After this, Io just absolutely snaps and starts unloading on Mia Yim. Eventually she hits a headbutt which sends Yim out of the ring. Io's crawling towards the ladder, she wants to get it set up, but Dakota Kai comes in and she starts attacking Io Shirai. Then we all think that it's going to be like Mia Yim coming back, but it's Kaylee Ray comes out. NXT UK Women's Champion Kaylee Ray comes out, and she dumps Mia Yim through a table. That leaves it wide open for Io Shirai to get up and get the briefcase. awesome, absolutely awesome match. Really loved it. Io Shirai just bumping all over the ladders. Mia Yim coming across as really tough and resilient, getting the protect your neck at some point. The whole getting a nose busted open thing, medical attention on the outside. Shirai using a ladder so much that it gets damaged. Kaylee Ray coming out, which is just awesome. I really like that they're getting the NXT UK roster involved in these big Full Sail shows now, and it's just so cool. I was like, wow, that's such a good swerve. After the match, Baszler comes out. She seems to offer a team up to Kaylee Ray, but Bayley comes out and attacks everyone with a chair, and that's how NXT goes off the air. Man, did I enjoy this match. The whole women's storyline at the minute, the Kaylee Ray comes out and I'm like, that's it. She must be who attacked everyone. And then Bayley comes out, and I'm like, oh wait, so it was Bayley? Why was Kaylee Ray here then? Is she just, why is she here? And it was just really, really cool. Like I said, some really cool spots in this ladder match. Really awesome to watch, and then just some great storyline developments. I enjoyed the hell out of that SCU versus Guevara and Jericho match. I really, really did. I thought Frankie Kazarian looked really cool at the start. I think they put over the fact that Jericho and him had never been in the ring, despite how much experience they had between them. And that was really cool, and it gave Frankie a little time to shine, as well as Scorpio, obviously, getting time to shine, beating Jericho and hitting some cool offense. I really like that he did that modified spine buster rolling through into the net breaker. I just think that's really cool. I like roll through moves. But I can't put it over. I can't put it over I can't put the SCU match over that ladder match. It's not possible. It's one of those things, I think, where it's hard to choose between the two, but it's also not, because I don't want it to seem like I don't like AEW and I'm just trying to be biased with NXT, but I genuinely really, really loved everything that NXT did this week. It's a testament to it that I think that it won so decisively, but at the same time, I enjoyed everything on AEW and didn't have a single complaint about that show. But yeah, it's a 4-2. A 4-2 advantage. NXT comes out with the win thanks to this Io Shirai versus Mia Yim ladder match. Man, what a good week for wrestling. I genuinely enjoyed both shows. It was nice to have a week where I liked both shows and just had a solid week of wrestling. I wanted to do a full... God, my throat is just going absolutely terrible now because of all this recording. I wanted to do a full gear review, but there's only certain times that I can actually record, and it took so long to watch the actual pay-per-view that I didn't have time to record, and wouldn't have been able to do this if I had done that today instead. So yeah, no full gear review, but rest assured I really actually enjoyed it. Thought that it was definitely really good. The best part really for me was Kenny versus Moxley, which was an absolutely brutal match. But yeah, this week in wrestling was really, really good, and it was really cool that both shows were going in opposite directions, with AEW like winding down from going into a pay-per-view, and NXT building up to a pay-per-view with so many stakes on the line at the minute and so many different swerves and this bit and that bit. But yeah, NXT definitely deserves to win at this point, I think. So yeah, as much as I didn't really want to have AEW lose, because I think that this is probably one of the best weeks that they've had since they started, I just enjoyed the hell out of NXT, and there's so much going on that I love there right now. This was a great week in wrestling. If you've enjoyed this episode, click that like button, let me know. Remember, every interaction with the channel helps the YouTube algorithm like me more. If you've got any questions or comments on either this episode of WITD, AEW or Dynamite, you know where the comments section is, or you can follow me on Twitter at Mason_WITD. You can join the Discord server that will be down in the description too. I had a lot of fun recording this. I hope that you had as much fun listening to it. I'm off, guys, and you should have a good one.